Some companies you think of their products, right? Others, their technology. But then you get these rare few, like the tech giant Infosys, who are defined by something else entirely, their principles. The story of how Infosys built its reputation is basically a masterclass in corporate values, and we're about to break down their playbook.
And here's the thing. Long before most of us knew them for tech, Infosys was already making a name for itself in a totally different arena. Even Harvard Business School was pointing them out as a model for how to run a company right, not just in India, but across Asia.
So that begs a really interesting question. At a time and place where this kind of thing just wasn't a priority for most companies, why would a young, scrappy startup focus so hard on it? I mean, what was the game plan? Why play by a tougher set of rules? To really get why this was such a big deal, you have to picture the scene. In the 1990s, the business world in India was described as a backwater of corporate governance. Being super ethical and transparent, well, that was the exception, not the rule. Which makes what Infosys did next pretty incredible. So in this environment, this backwater, Infosys had a choice. They could have just blended in and done what everyone else was doing. Or they could build something completely different. They chose to build. They created their own system from the ground up, a philosophy that would become the very foundation of the company, Sea Life. So what exactly was this guiding principle? What was this idea that was going to shape their entire culture and strategy for decades to come? Well, it all boiled down to this one simple but super powerful acronym, Sea Life. And this wasn't just some motivational poster they stuck on the wall. Nope, this was the actual operating system for the entire company. And this isn't just some marketing slogan. The company's own code of conduct says it flat out. Sea Life stands for the 5 core values that are the bedrock of daily life there. They see it as the literal foundation of their success, right from day one. All right, so what are these 5 values? They are client value, leadership by example, integrity and transparency, fairness, and excellence. Now let's break down what each of those actually looks like in the real world. Okay, so it's one thing to have a list of values, right? But how do you actually make them work? How do they become like a North Star for every single decision? Let's start with the first 2. First up, the C in Sea Life, client value. And it's first for a reason. It's this deep-seated belief that the company's whole purpose is tied to creating amazing value for its clients. Their success is literally measured by their customers' success. Simple as that. Then we have L for leadership by example. And listen, this isn't just about the top brass. It's a rule for every single person there. The whole idea is that you show your values through what you do, not what you say. You've got to walk the talk. So, if client value is their mission and leadership is their method, these next 3 values, well, they define their character. Integrity, fairness, and excellence are seen as the must-have traits for every single employee, or InfoScion, as they call them. Yeah, you can really think of these as the 3 pillars holding up the entire ethical structure of the company. Let's dive into what they mean in practice. First up is integrity and transparency. That's the I. And notice it's 2 things, not one. It's not just about doing the right thing. It's about being wide open about it. It's about being sincere. I mean, the company's own code spells it out perfectly. It says every single transaction has to be handled ethically and openly. It's all about building trust by being completely upfront, no hidden agendas. And this wasn't just talk. This principle got put to the test, and early on. Get this story from a Harvard Business School study. Back in '84, Infosys was facing a crazy 150% customs duty on imported software. A lot of their competitors were finding creative ways around it, but Infosys, they refused. They chose to take a massive financial hit rather than bend the rules. Now that is integrity in action. All right, pillar number 2, the F in Sea Life is fairness. And this goes way beyond just playing by the rules. This is about actively respecting the rights of everyone you deal with, your employees, your partners, your clients, everyone. And they don't leave this vague either. They break it down into real everyday actions. It means treating people with respect, making sure everyone gets a chance to speak up and be heard, shutting down office politics, and, this one's huge, giving credit where credit is due. It's all about creating a culture where people trust each other. And that brings us to the final pillar, the E in Sea Life, excellence. Now, for Infosys, this isn't about, getting a perfect score or hitting some final goal. It's a completely different way of thinking. It's a mindset. So, excellence for them is all about the journey, not the destination. It's about making sure what you do every day lines up with the company's values. It's about seeing mistakes as chances to learn, not as failures. It's about owning your actions and always being willing to try something new. It's basically a growth mindset written into the company DNA. So, you've got these 5 big values: client value, leadership, integrity, fairness, and excellence. How do they all tie together to become the company's, ethical backbone? And here's the absolute key takeaway. Call Life isn't just some feel-good philosophy. It is literally the source code for their entire rulebook. Every single policy, every procedure in their official code of conduct is built to reflect the spirit of these 5 core values. So in the end, Sea Life is like the company's GPS. It's this internal compass that makes sure no matter how big they get or what crazy new challenges pop up, their decisions always point back to that solid ethical foundation. I mean, think about it. Infosys basically proved that what a company stands for can be its biggest asset, maybe even more than what it sells. They built a global brand on Sea Life, and that turned their values into a real competitive edge. So that leaves us all with a pretty big question to chew on. What's the bedrock of your work?